Hello, everyone, and if you are watching this video, it is because you are judging public forum. Thank you first so much for judging, regardless of what tournament you are watching this for in preparation of public forum. Without you judging, it would be impossible for our students to compete, so thank you so much for judging. In this video, we're going to go over the different public forum times, what public forum topics look like, and how to take notes in public forum. So first and foremost, let's go to what the topics look like. So public forum is a fact-based debate, which means that the question at hand is something true or not, is something good or not. So unlike Lincoln Douglas, which is very values-based, and policy, which really cares very much about how a policy is implemented, public forum more wants to look at outcomes and decide if those outcomes are beneficial or negative. So, if, for example, in the September-October 2020 topic, you have the United States federal government should enact Medicare for all Act of 2019. So this particular topic would be trying to argue whether or not this would be a good thing or a bad thing to do, whether or not we should pass it or not. All public forum topics have a similar question in that they're trying to prove something factually or not factually. So you can see next November, December, the United States should adopt a declaratory nuclear policy of policy no first use. Let's pretend I said that cleanly, but you can see that these are the kinds of topics you're dealing with. So how does a public forum round look like? Great question. That wasn't a grammatically correct question, but great question nonetheless. So first is, let's look at how it functions. So in public forum, you have two teams that are against each other. Each speaker will speak twice, and every speaker will have one 4-minute speech, and then one speaker on each side, one will have a 3-minute speech, and one will have a 2-minute speech. So let's break it down. So in public forum, you have both teams. They both give a first opening 4-minute speech. So the affirmation team, which is for the topic, and the negation team, which is against the topic, they both give a 4-minute speech. Following that 4-minute speech, both speakers ask each other questions. This is different than Lincoln Douglas cross-examination or policy cross-examination, where only one side asks the question. In public forum, both speakers can ask each other questions going back and forth. Then their partners will give the second speech on each side. So again, 4 minutes and 4 minutes. In these opening speeches, so the first 4 minutes is really laying out your case. The next 4-minute speeches are often refuting what their opponent said in these speeches. And then we head to our second cross-examination, and this is between the two speakers that just spoke. So this first crossfire is both speakers are against each other, the first two speakers, and then the second two speakers are against each other again. It's back and forth. And then we head to our summary speeches. So this goes back to the first speakers again. These speeches are 3 minutes long. Note, if you did public forum prior to 2020, these speeches were 2 minutes long, but that has officially changed. The NSDA has passed its piloted rules. If this is brand new to you, well, it doesn't matter what it was before, but just know that this is a 3-minute speech. And in this speech, they're really trying to summarize, it's called a summary speech, of what is happening in the round, why they should be voting for their side. Then you have Grand Crossfire, the most dramatic 3 minutes of all of speech and debate. And the reason for that is both speakers on both sides can ask each other questions. So it gets real crazy, right? Because you got 4 speakers who are potentially speaking at the same time. It is 3 minutes long. This is the most chaotic 3 minutes of the entire debate, and where you'll be happy to be a judge just watching and not actually participating. Then you have the final focus, and so it's called the final focus because it's the final speech, and they're really trying to focus on what's important in the round. So in this speech, they might tell you why you should vote for them and why you shouldn't vote for their opponent. So that's the general breakdown of a public forum round in terms of structure. Do not worry too much about knowing these times exactly. It's good to know, but the debaters usually will have a stopwatch and will be following it and taking care of it themselves. One thing to note is that at public forum, at most tournaments, they will have 3 minutes of total prep time. What that means is each team has up to 3 minutes that they can use whenever they want to throughout the round to prepare for this speech. It cannot be used, however, before a cross-examination, but it can be used, let's just say, I'm the negation and I have 2 minutes left to speak before my final speech. Let me use those 2 minutes to prepare. They get to choose how they allot that 3 minutes, and they can decide who on their team gets what. And usually they're also pretty good about keeping track about it. You should keep track about it just for safety, but usually the speakers are pretty aware there's time. And last, for note-taking purposes, so let's just say you're a judge. I'm going to move me to a more visible place. So if you're judging, what we often suggest is that you do what's called flowing. It's a note-taking strategy in which you, and this will be downloadable at least at some of the tournaments, and you could look this up, or you could do it by hand, or if you have your own note-taking strategy, it does not matter. But what I like to do is I have different columns for each of the speeches. So let's just say this is the affirmation, this is negation, and then you can take notes here. This is what the affirmation said, this is what the negation said, and you can compare what people are saying. This is really useful because you might note that, oh, they never responded to the first point that their opponent said, or it might be useful in case like they argue, right? Like, I said this, no, you said this. You can take notes and be like, actually, they said this. You wouldn't say that out loud, but at least you would know for your own purposes. So this is good for taking notes. It's also good for keeping track of like how many speaker points you might want to award to a person. The speaker points, if you have questions about that, are in the general debate judging video that's connected to this. All right, so again, as quick wrap up, public forum is a fact-based debate. Is something true or is it not true? You follow this structure. You have two speakers on both sides. They face each other. You have a 4-minute speech for both all the speakers, and then either a 3 or 2-minute speech. In between two sets of speeches, you have cross-examination where they can ask each other questions and try to prove each other wrong. And you want to take notes, however is best for you. I like to download templates and use them for my own purposes so that I can manipulate the data. I like typing because if you know me, I can't read my own handwriting. So again, thank you so much for judging. I hope you have a wonderful time judging, whether it's this tournament or any upcoming future tournaments. And thank you again.